Speaking of the Brewers, I want to welcome in national baseball columnist for MLB.com, Anthony Castrovince, who just wrote this article on Sports on Earth, the 5 teams to watch in January. We're going to focus in on these top 3 teams. For the other 2, you're going to have to go read the article there. But welcome, Anthony. Thanks for joining us here. Let's start with the Brewers. They made one move already, so close to making the postseason last year. What do they need to add to put them back in that hunt to compete in the NL Central?
Yeah, well, more starting pitching, Heidi. They've made a couple moves there already this winter. Jules Chassin, who had a really strong season with the Padres, and their old friend Yovani Gallardo. But, Chassin had a strong season in San Diego. Not so much outside of San Diego. Really extreme home road splits there. Gallardo has had an ERA over 5 the last 2 seasons. And, the big thing with the Brewers is, as they do try to fight off the potential for regression in 2018 from their surprise 2017, they're doing it without Jimmy Nelson for a significant chunk of the season. So they're still in the market for starting help. You mentioned Alex Cobb there, rejecting the offer from the Cubs. That's a guy they've clued in on potentially. And, you'd like to see them. You look at their long-term financials. There's the ability to go out and get a Jake Arrieta or Yu Darvish. I don't think that's particularly likely, but certainly a team looking around for starting help.
Yeah, the Twins are another team that surprised everyone. They won the AL wildcard spot last year. What are their biggest needs to get back to the postseason?
Very similar storylines abound here. Another surprise team. This team was able to get into the wild card by the good graces of this, muddled American League picture we had last year. Well, the bar might be raising in the American League. You look at the Angels in particular and how they could force that issue. So yeah, the Twins also in the market for starting help. They have gone out and acquired some bullpen help already. Fernando Rodney is their new closer, and Zach Duke is one of their new left-handed setup men. But, the rotation beyond Irvin Santana and Jose Barrios, they could use another stabilizing force. And this team was really aggressive early on in the winter, really active in saying, look, we're going to go after the top end of the starting market. Obviously, that's yet to net anything for them. Or really for anybody. That's just been the nature of this winter.
They're all still out there.
Yeah, through no fault of their own, nothing has happened. But obviously the relationship, it's been mentioned many times, relationship between Thad Levine and Yu Darvish from their time in Texas, that could play in their favor. He's met with a few clubs. The Twins are not yet one of them, but that could still happen. So we'll see where it leads.
Yeah, there's still plenty to pick from. It's January 5th. Let's get things moving here. The Pirates have seemed to go backwards the last 2 years. They have some intriguing talent on their team. What is their next move?
Well, this team probably encapsulates what's going on this winter as well as anybody, Heidi. You just mentioned it's January 5th, and we still don't know what direction the Pirates are going to go. They could still undergo a significant reorganization here. Garrett Cole has obviously been talked about in this trade market, particularly with the Yankees. If you move Garrett Cole, that signals, and maybe it's not a true rebuild, but it's certainly a retool of a significant nature. And then Andrew McCutchen, Josh Harrison, these are other names that have been bandied about. But so they could go in that direction. They could keep the band together and try to make an earnest effort to contend in 2018. But the NL Central, the Cubs are obviously a force. The Cardinals are getting better. The Pirates would be counting on a lot of positive luck, better health, better performance, particularly that outfield, a full season Starling Marte, Gregory Polanco putting it together. A lot of ifs there, and probably a lot of needs as well. So it's just fascinating that as late in the winter as we are, here's a team that can go, it can go a major overhaul, or it could still make an effort to contend.
Yeah, well, we're looking at that with a couple of teams, and as we said, it's January 5th. We're just waiting for that ball to get rolling. Once it does, I think it's going to just take off and snowball. Thank you so much for joining us, Anthony.
Thanks, Heidi.